Hey and welcome, this is Rob Conrad from Switzerland. When I think about marathon runners or even ultramarathon runners, the picture I have in my head is a middle-aged, wiry man with a stubborn look on his withered face, suffering away mile after mile, checking his watch, pushing a little button every so often. So that's the image I have in my head. Mirna Valerio doesn't exactly fit the stereotype. She's running marathons and ultramarathons, yes, but she's a woman. Isn't white, and she's more on the big side. Mirna is the Fat Girl Running, which is also the name of her blog. She's the author of the book A Beautiful Work in Progress, a fitness model, a trained opera singer, Spanish teacher, and director of equity and inclusion. Unfortunately, as you've probably seen in this conversation, she's really uncommunicative, she's tight-lipped and has no sense of humor whatsoever. But I'll do my best to get at least a little bit out of her to talk about running, stereotypes, body positivity, music, and we'll see what else. Thanks for taking the time and talking with me today, Mirna Valerio.
Good morning. Oh, yeah. Well, it's morning in my area of the world. I guess it's afternoon.
It's like 5 p.m. Yeah, where I am. Yes, exactly.
But hello. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I've read somewhere you were an Afro-Latina. Is it right?
Yes, I am partially Central American. So my father was Honduran, from Honduras, and my mother is from Brooklyn, New York.
It's like African American with a shorter fuse and hotter temper from the.
I've always had a short fuse, so I don't know which part of my identity that fits, But yeah, so I'm definitely Hispanic, African American. I just say Black. So I've got all these like interesting aspects to myself.
Yeah, and you speak German. That's also amazing that we found out.
Ja, ich kann Deutsch ein bisschen.
Yeah, wunderbar. So, why did you learn that?
As a singer, I had to study German along with Italian, French, and some other languages, and I am I'm a linguist. I love languages and learn them very easily, and it helps me communicate with people from all over the world. So, I have to practice my German because I am actually going to be doing Berlin Marathon in September.
Okay.
I have to find some people to talk with. So I come up as like a typical American and doesn't know anything.
Why Berlin? I mean, there's probably other marathons which are a bit closer to your location.
Why not? I also got an invite, so
okay.
So I'm not going to pass it up.
Fair enough. You've ever been to Germany before?
I have not, and I've been, I have been to Europe many, many times. My husband has been back and forth to like München and Hamburg, and I have, only been in France, Italy, and Spain. That's where I go.
Okay. So how long are you going to stay? Any plans to like stop by in Switzerland or something?
I might, because I need a watch and I need some chocolate. So, I'm going to make it a whole probably week and a half long adventure. So I can, go and go to the mountains and do some trail running and stuff because I can't just go and road run.
Yeah, well, let me know if you're anywhere near Switzerland because where we live, it's a really beautiful scenery. You have beautiful hikes and everything. So I can send you some pictures later on too.
Okay, when I show up at your doorstep, don't act like you don't know me.
Who's that? So, one thing I just kind of want to get out of the way right at the beginning. You call yourself like the Fat Girl Running, but like if I refer to your body weight in the conversation, what's the appropriate way to? Is it like? Shall we dance around by saying big boned or something like that, or is it big?
You can say big boned. You can say fat. You can say curvy, voluptuous. The words that trigger me the most are obese and overweight.
Okay.
Those are the two words that that really just send me somewhere to a negative place because they're very sort of clinical and judgmental, I think. So, I'm really trying to reclaim the word fat. It's just a descriptor. So I'm totally okay if you say as a fat girl or as a big girl or as a, larger woman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe let's start here because it kind of triggers something. And I read in your book that you mentioned sometimes people, kind of refer to big people or whatever as with these terms, and they do it in a seemingly positive way. Also, oh, it's great that person is running, and it's great that person is.
Oh my God!
It's so amazing. And you described that really ticks you off quite a bit. So can you explain why that is?
Well, I think people are really well-intentioned most of the time. I don't think most human beings have it out to be malicious or mean to other human beings, but there are some people that are. But, I think, when you see somebody like me running, or, somebody else who's big, somebody else who's fat, or somebody else who doesn't fit what your perceived norm of a runner is, and they're like, oh wow, way to go, so glad you're out here, oh my God, look at you. That's the one thing. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, look at me, what, I'm running, I'm doing what humans are designed to do. And because they have not maybe seen that represented in their world or in their life experience, it's a weird thing. And so they get all excited about it, and they assume things about why you're out there, like, oh, you're trying to lose weight, you're on a weight loss journey, or, this is really hard for you. Wow. And so there's there are a lot of assumptions in those type of comments, but, I really do try to take everything, that is intended as a compliment. I try to take it as a compliment, but it's really hard. Because those compliments are coming from a place where, you're an anomaly, or you are, it's so weird to see you out here. And some people say that. They say, wow, it's just so, I've never seen anybody like you out here. And it just creates this chasm, I'm just trying to run. I'm just trying to be on the trails. But I get it. I get people are trying to be supportive. But sometimes that support comes from a really presumptuous place.
Okay. So they're stereotyping you in a way that you shouldn't be here, but it's great that you are, so that we can openly welcome you and as part of our community, which is like the non-fat people.
Because you clearly don't belong. But we're gonna be like extra. Okay. And it's kind of like I was in Italy once for an opera program, and this has nothing to do with running, but it's a very similar experience. I went to Italy. I already knew quite a bit of Italian, and so and I went with a lot of Americans, and I speak a lot of languages, and and I'm in the most advanced class, but this one guy that worked in the office just thought that he took a look at me. I did not speak Italian. He's like, Mirna. Noi, he's like, does all this. He's like, noi siamo la tua famiglia. Ho capito? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, voi siete mia famiglia. Grazie. He's like, oh, what? I took one look at you. I didn't think you spoke Italian. And it's, it's these assumptions that people make, and they do really try to embrace you. But it also I'm like, can you just say hi, give me a high five and keep going. So, and that sounds very sort of narcissistic, and but when it happens over and over again, when people are surprised that you're there, they're surprised that you can do a 50K, they're surprised that you go to the gym and you bare your arms there, and oh, you're so courageous. I'm not courageous. I'm dressing so that I can be comfortable. So there's this conflation of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And so, yeah, it does, I don't want to seem like a jerk, but it does it nicks at you over and over again when those assumptions are made. That was a very long answer to your question.
No, but I think it's interesting. It's important to understand because in a way it's a natural reaction. I mean, it's you're not fitting the norm, whatever the norm is. So right. I can see where those people are coming from, but I totally get where this is inappropriate and it is stereotyping people and no, not. Probably most of the cases, as you said, not intentionally, but it is stereotyping.
Right, but it is, yeah. Because we're humans. We do place people in boxes because it makes it easier for us to navigate society, right?
Yeah.
But we also have the intellectual capability to go beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And there are some people who really attack you right away. So there's the short documentary or this little movie about you. And what happened to those who haven't seen it? So while you were running and while you're making this documentary, basically you've received an email from someone, calling you a fraud and really calling you horrible names for running, and now it's all fake, and then you can't be. How can you possibly be running? So it's all for the media, and so maybe you can talk a little bit about that and what that did with you, and what that the reaction you had to that.
Right. So when I started my blog, Fat Girl Running, first of all, a lot of people took issue with the name of the blog because, you can't say you're fat because, I'm offended by that. I'm like, but I'm not writing about you. I'm writing about you. And the whole purpose of the blog was to talk about my experiences being a larger athlete amongst thinner athletes, and specifically in long distance and endurance events. And even, I would have conversations with people. I'd be out on the trail and people would say things like, wow, I don't believe you're still out here. Or, wow, like maybe you shouldn't, maybe you should just try for the 5K because it's shorter, it's better for your body. Or, I'd be training and some guy would, and I'd be jogging or running, whatever you want to call it. And a guy would pass me and say, you'd lose more weight if you walked. And I said, bro, I'm training for 3 marathons. He's like, oh, my bad. Oh, And so there are all of these, again, assumptions and these thoughts that people have because they have a particular norm or they have a particular picture of who should be a runner or who can be a runner. And so I have in the past received some commentary or feedback. And this one thing that you're talking about, the video, the REI Presents The Myrnavator, that film was supposed to be about a Black woman in running, in the woods. Because that's another issue in the outdoor industry. There's not a lot of diversity. They're working on it, but it's slow going, and progress is slow going. And so they commissioned the filmmaker to make this film about me and an ultra runner, and I already had notoriety. I'd already been featured in Runner's World and Wall Street Journal and other media outlets. And so, but this film, I'm just doing a 50K because I'm gearing up towards a really huge race at the end of the summer. So she came out, the filmmaker came out, and was posted herself in different places, and we're having a good time, and it was a really sort of raw picture of me at doing what I do. And while she's there, while she's filming, I take out my camera to do a selfie with my friends because my friends did the last loop with me. And then I get this notification and there's this email, and the email, the title of the email, the subject line was running. And so I thought maybe it's one of my cross-country athletes' parents. Maybe it's a question about my cross-country program. Maybe it's one of my fans, because sometimes they find my email, my work email. They dig, and
it's in your book as well.
And it takes time to do that, right? So I open the email. Everybody has their phone on the trail now. So I opened it up and I read this vitriolic words, aimed at hurting me and telling me that my body was not worthy, that what I was doing was fake, that I was trying to get people to accept fat people, and and that's deadly, and that hurt. While I'm at the most vulnerable point in my race, I was almost finished, but I was in pain. I was tired. I was chafing everywhere. I just wanted it to be over. It was wet. I was cold, and then all these things were going through my head. And to receive those words that were very specifically aimed at hurting me and making it known that I was not a worthy human being, at that point in the race, while I was doing something I loved, it was very painful. It was very traumatic. And And so at the end, so that, I showed my friends and they were like, they're like, oh my God, you're actually doing the thing that he says that you don't do. Like you're at 50K and you're almost done. And they're like, screw him. They said some other words with expletives. I won't repeat them now. But, and so, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to put my phone away before I post this on Instagram because I wanted to share with people, like, this is real. Like, this really happens. Like, when people tell you like people make comments to them at the gym or while they're out running, or people yell things out the window, they're not lying. They're not lying. It's a reality. Because again, when people are confronted with something that alters their reality, sometimes they react violently. And I don't mean just like physically violently, but like, they're verbally abusive, they're emotionally abusive. And many, many people go through that, even people who are not fat. So, so I posted it on Instagram and then that kind of went viral itself. I got like 250 comments after a couple of minutes and then many, many more when I finished. And then when I get to the end, the filmmaker congratulates me. She's like, oh, you did such a great job. Congratulations. But, by the way, I'm so sorry about that email that you got. Like, I saw that because, she's waiting at the end. So she has nothing to do but be on her Instagram. And she's like, that's awful. And so after that, after I cleaned up and everything, she's like, by the way, if you want to talk about that, when I come back to film you some more in a few weeks, we can talk about it. And I was like, I don't want to talk about that. In my mind, I didn't say, I said, well, maybe, because that's, that'll just mar my experience. But when she did come back at the very end of her stay while we were shooting, she says, are you ready for this? And I said, what? She says, take out your phone and bring up the email. And then all of these emotions start coming back. And, I'm not a crier. So like, I didn't cry during the film, but I definitely shed some tears in private. And she had me read this email again. And I'm like, wow, oh my God. Like, I think had I been a different person, had I not had my friends around, had I not had a community to fall back on, had I not had a loving family and a loving workplace, that might have gone very differently.
In what way?
I might have stopped running. I might have really internalized the feeling of worthlessness. I don't know. I may have done something else. But I'm really proud and happy that I belong to the trail running community is amazing. Like the running community in general is amazing. And then the people who do and say things like that, they may be runners too, but they're far and few between, because most people that I encounter on the trail or in my running life are incredibly supportive. And it's usually the people that don't really run, that don't engage in the kinds of activities that I do and aren't able to see the plethora of types of bodies that are out there, types of people, the genders, and they don't see that because they have this very limited view, the very limited experience. And those are the people that, come at me and others with all the negativity and the doubt and the, I don't believe you did that. There's no way that you did that.
Did that person identify himself as who he is? So
yeah.
So he was,
yeah. I mean, it was his email was, had his name in it.
So it was like an anonymous troll who just tried to cause some.
It wasn't anonymous.
It was someone who really had an opinion and really just wanted to hurt you and to mess with you.
He really needed to, and he signed his name at the bottom. And so when I posted the Instagram, I left his name up there.
Did you reply to him?
Did I?
Did you reply to him?
No, no.
Okay, so you never kind of challenged him?
I'd never had any intention of replying. But, the funny thing is that, when I posted it with his name, people looked him up. Because it was not a very common name. And so I got lots of messages. Some people DM'd me and instant inboxed me and with, if you want my, I saw his social media. and he's not a very attractive guy. Like, and I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that. I said my piece, and I can't remember what exactly it was that I wrote on Instagram. I mean, it's up there. I left it up there, but and I said, this stuff really happens, and people try to excoriate me. That's the word I use for doing what I do, for my existence. And but like lots of people, I had so many positive comments and words of support and encouragement and gratitude. Thank you for being out there. Thank you for putting yourself out there, because I wouldn't be able to do that. Or like if you want my running club to go run by this guy's house, we'll do it with chains and I said baseball bats. I don't want any part of that. I don't want to go to jail. Okay. So like it's been really interesting. That video went viral. And I think REI, which was the company that had commissioned it, I think they had planned on releasing it later, but it was so good that they released it early. And then it just did its own thing and ran away, and it's still like I get messages every single day. I just saw your video on YouTube, or I just saw it on the REI website, or I just saw it. Somebody shared it with me, and wow, it changed my life. You keep going, and it came out in 2017, so it's like a year and a half ago now, and it's still on the film festival circuits, which I think is incredible, and it's, it's still, as people say, they're still changing people's lives, because they just saw, like, here I am just going out and doing what I do because I love doing it. And, that's how I fulfill my soul and my spirit and my sort of physical needs as a human being. And, and somebody's just kind of trying to step on me for doing that. And for many people, it resonated with them because, maybe it wasn't running, maybe it's something else, maybe it had nothing to do with any kind of exercise, but maybe it's something in their lives that they love to do and that they need to do that people just absolutely excoriate them for doing it and for existing. And so it spoke to a lot of people, and, it still does. And I'm not happy that happened, but it turned out to be an incredible gift.
Why do you think it is that people react so aggressively in that way? Because it wasn't like a short comment, it was like a long email and someone put some time and effort into writing that. So I'm always wondering if something annoys you that much that you spend half an hour typing up an email and sending it with your full name, there must be something, I don't know, lacking or something where you're like unhappy in your own life that seeing that hurts you so much that you take the time to kind of vent your anger. So I'm always wondering what's your take on that?
Right, and the question is, how, like, what motivates somebody to do that? To dig, he had to dig and do a Google search and find out where I worked. I mean, everybody knew where I worked at that point, and maybe tried a couple of different ways to write my name for the email, my work email, and but. And I had also been on TV 3 times that week. So I was like, maybe he was tired of seeing me, and, but all of that said, that comes from people's own darkness. And, that's the only way that I think that can be justified. Like somebody is dealing with their own darkness, whatever is going on with them, they try to externalize that and they put it on somebody else. They lash out at other people because they have something going on with them. And, and it hurts other people. But you know what? That has nothing to do with me. The fact that you think this or you think that, maybe that person is on a weight loss journey. Maybe by looking at me and seeing that I do run the miles that I do, maybe it scares them because they think that they're going to lose a lot of weight. And then I haven't lost. I mean, I lost 70 pounds a long time ago when I first restarted running. And, but I also worked out for 5.5 hours a day. Oh, wow. Okay. So but people don't see that. They don't know that. And, and then I stopped doing that and I just kept running because I was doing other things. And so I think by looking at people are like, oh, well, I don't want to stay fat. I don't want to, in it. And so that makes them scared. And, and so like, I think that people do react in a certain way based on their own expectations of themselves or their own, whatever they are lacking in themselves, and so I think that's what it is. And so like, I have to actively talk myself out of internalizing other people's darkness. And it's hard sometimes. I have a friend who's kind of in a similar arena that I'm in. You probably know who she is, Latoya Snell. So she's also an ultra runner. She's a big girl. She's Black. And she's a very different style than I do. But people are also questioning what she does. And, she lifts weights, she does this, and they question and they constantly try to bring her down because, again, she doesn't fit the perceived norm of what a runner is or what somebody who exercises is or looks like or can be or can do. And just because that's something that they haven't experienced. And so that makes people react in a certain way. It's hard for me. It's hard to deal with, when people are super negative, and especially when it comes to something that brings me so much joy and so much fulfillment and self-actualization. It's hard when people attack that.
And in a way, it's always hard to, even if it's your thing and that they can't take it away from you, it's hard to deflect these things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because we're human beings and we have emotions and we are sponges. And that's why I do, like, I really have an incredible community, and I try to surround myself, and I do surround myself with people I know that are going to have my back all the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's definitely amazing. And you said a few moments ago, and I really like that, running is something that kind of nourishes your soul or feeds your soul. And in your book, you describe it in a really nice way. You say, like you make the comparison between running and playing the piano. So, so it's like playing the piano more, or like running more doesn't make you a better runner, but it makes you a better person because it's difficult, and the pleasure of engaging in a difficulty makes you a better person. And I really like that. I really like that because that's at the end of this, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's not about perfection. It's not about achieving being the world's best runner.
Right. And for some people that is, like, some people, they need to be the elite runners. They need to, like, be able to qualify for Boston. They need to do whatever. And I will never be able to do that. I ran Boston. I didn't have to qualify, but that was a special circumstance. It is, the funny thing was that was one of the chapters in my book that was edited the most because it was so long. Because I just went on and on about, playing Rachmaninoff and play. And they're like, it's too long. Stop it. No one's gonna understand. And it is, I love the piano, and I've spent countless hours and hours practicing and playing, and I don't have my fingers are fine, but I will never be a great pianist. And that's okay, because I do it because I love the music, and the fact that I'm able to play the music, even though it's not always perfect, even though my fingers get stuck sometimes, but it brings me so much joy. Like, in high school, I'd spend hours and hours and hours singing and playing piano. Like, singing, I'm good at, so excuse me, that's on another realm. But piano, because it just allows me it allows me to explore all these nooks and crannies of music that that not everybody has access to. It allows me to do that. And running does the same thing. And my legs allow me to explore these incredible trails, the world, in a way that most people don't get to do. And that is just so nourishing. And and so exciting. And it's still hard for me. It is, every now and then I get into flow. Yesterday, when I was on the mountain with one of my former students, I was in a flow, even though I'm sick, a really bad chest cold, and I'm at altitude after coming from sea level. But there were moments when we're just running silently on the trail. It's snow covered. The sun is coming up over the mountain, and it's just like this experience that, it's like I'm getting a little teary because it's just so beautiful and so human, and it's this thing that, like not everybody has access to. And so I'm so grateful for that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm getting really emotional. But that's what it is, whether it's playing piano or doing something that really just engages every part of your humanity, your soul, your physicality, your emotions, your mentality, the way you interact with people, the way you react to people, the way you are in the world. And so it feeds everything.
Here comes the sunshine and burns away clouds like they never were.